on our tour today is the home of Tom Cronin. Unfortunately, Tom couldn't join us today, but instead we're going to visit with Mike Lindsey, who did the design work for the property. Mike, thanks for joining us today.
Thanks a lot.
Well, I know whenever you're designing a new place, one of the things you want to be very prominent is the entrance, and you've done such a beautiful job here. Tell me a little bit about your design.
Well, basically the entrance is the focal point. We always try to keep that as framed up and have some of our key plants in the area. So we tried to frame this, but add the natural element back to the property that was taken from construction. And also, this being well below the street level, we were worried about drainage, so we incorporated a dry creek all the way across the front that actually has several drains in it, and the fail-safe, of course, it will fall with gravity, so it's just a safeguard to protect our home.
Excellent. And of course, whenever you're doing a design, you want to move the water away from the foundation.
As fast as possible, absolutely.
Now, something I thought was very interesting, you have a raised area in the center of the driveway, and you told me that's for screening. Tell us about that.
Typically when you have this much concrete, concrete's really not attractive in this large of a dose, in my opinion. So typically when we have this much concrete, we try to berm up so that when you drive by, the visual is more of the garden and less of the concrete. And then also, as we came in, we also add as much curvature as we can to the garden to further disguise the utilitarian part of the motor court. Yeah. And so it kind of gives us a better garden environment.
I noticed you did kind of the same thing with the dry creek bed here too. The plantings and this side is higher, so you don't exactly notice it until you get real close up to
Right.
it.
We had to bring this up a certain amount because of the elevations of the concrete and what have you. But it's kind of neat because it's kind of a secret garden even in their front yard. So it's kind of different.
Yeah, you don't usually find that. Now on the side of the house, the homeowner wanted a little more privacy, and you've planted a very nice, diverse screen. A lot of times, you know, people put in a solid screen. Tell me about some of the plant material here.
Well, we've got the live oak, and then a Sims magnolia, and a bright and tight cherry laurel, and Electra blue deodar. And we've tried to combine. We didn't want it to look too mismatched, but we also want it to flow and just kind of have a nice combination of textures and colors, and so we were pleased with how it turned out. It's kind of a neat little park feel. It
is. And the backyard, you've done a lot of that as well, this mixture of texture, color. They have kind of an unusual backyard where it steps down pretty severely, but there's a nice natural area behind, and you've really tied that into the house.
Well, what we're trying to do is, during construction, so many of the native trees had to go because of elevation changes and what have you. So we went in with a combination of evergreen and deciduous plants and tried to re-establish that forest back towards the house so that we had that natural feel as soon as possible. So I think we accomplished that.
I think so. Very well.
Anyway.
There's a couple of interesting plants in there. You have a beautiful alley elm with a multi-trunk. How'd you go about training that?
Well, basically, I really enjoy the multi-trunk trees because of their native look. Basically, what we do is we grade out our liners when they're very young, and we take the least desirable plants and we cut them off, and then basically forces the suckers to come up multi-trunk. It takes a couple extra years to do that, but just old nurseryman trick. Not that difficult. Just takes time.
Very good. Another tree that I really enjoy down in the back is the Canadian Chokecherry.
That's right. Well, it's one of the few burgundy leaves that you can use here. A lot of the plum tend to get canker and just various diseases and insects and all that. And it's one of the few burgundy leaves that's really hardy in our area. So we're real happy to have come across that plant a few years back.
It certainly adds a new element, a little different color to the planting.
Love our colors and textures.
Well, Mike, thank you so much for sharing the landscape with us today.
Well, thank you for coming out. It's always nice to share a garden with friends, so I appreciate as well.